Okay. If not, is there anyone that would like to share? Because I will call on people. Yeah, feel free to type it in the chat. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. But yes, no, feel free to type it to me, type it to everyone. I just like want y'all to start thinking about these and being comfortable sharing these kind of things. But yeah. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna call on people. Can I hear from? Oh, there's so many names. Can I hear from Katie? Or not? That's okay too. For the people that are typing in the chat, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay.
You guys just please feel free to answer the question. We're not here to judge any of you guys.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm seeing them in the chat. That's really great. It can be your favorite thing to do on day one or the entirety of the project. I'm getting a couple questions, but yeah, no, everything that y'all are talking about is super great. I'm very excited that y'all are excited to be here. Awesome. A lot of these I center around growth and exploring new things, and I'm super excited because those are all great things to hear from y'all. And for those of you who it's their first time doing something like this, like kudos to you, like you are doing amazing. Not that it carries a lot of weight, but I'm already really so proud of you. Awesome. So continue sharing. I'm going to go ahead and move on, but this was awesome. Thank you. Cool. So please hold on to these notes you're taking somewhere because I want y'all to use them a little later. So just adding that a little there. But now that you've thought about what you're going to enjoy the most, make an effort to really enjoy those things, especially when the time gets tough. It's obviously going to get tough at some point. So to be able to look back and think about things you know you're going to enjoy and to make sure to fully enjoy them makes it worth it. The journey, it'll seem long while you're in it, but very short once you're done. And the thing about this entrepreneurial journey is that you learn so much more than you even expected. You learn so much about yourself as an entrepreneur, as a student, and as an individual through this entrepreneurial journey. The insights you get through this process are impossible to replicate in any other setting because you see the extremes of yourself through various lenses, you see the extremes of others through various lenses, and that really brings people together. And so to see yourself like this, you can grow a lot. And this setting isn't replicated anywhere else because there's nothing quite like the entrepreneurship journey, which is why it's really important to take notes and learn how you as an individual grow through all of this. And so this process of hustling with your co-founders really makes startups all about the adventure and not so much about the end destination. So you should really enjoy every little detail until you finally have your product. So this finally brings me to the last P in the 3 Ps, which is your product. But what makes the product so important? Is it just because every entrepreneur needs a product or they aren't really an entrepreneur? Well, not entirely. Your product is so much more than just a product. Even if it's not fully finished at the end of the day, your product is a testament to all the work that you, your people, and processes have made. Your final offering is really the culmination of all of these processes and all of these people's ideas, time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears, and anything else, you name it. By this point in the journey, you've probably written on the back of your napkin a small idea and seen it grow to a full-fledged offering that you can now show off to people and hopefully the market. In the context of this hackathon, you have the opportunity to change the world with your offering. While that may sound super cliche, hear me out. What starts here always has the ability to start something new tomorrow. And if that fails, it's not a big deal. While it may sting early on, which is expected because, stuff like that hurts, the effort and initiative you've taken to even be a part of this hackathon is what matters. Entrepreneurs are really the change makers of tomorrow, and you all participating in this hackathon makes y'all social entrepreneurs. And social entrepreneurs are the people who make the changes in other people's lives where it matters the most. So keep that in mind. In case anytime you lose hope, think about how you are changing someone else's life and solving their pain. So we're going to break for another little activity because I like them so much. So again, on that same sheet of paper or whatever you've been using to jot down some notes, think about what you expect to take away from this hackathon in terms of your product or offering or even expectation you have for yourself as of right now. And it's okay if you haven't thought about it a lot or if you've spent a lot of time thinking about it. And if you don't want to share this, because I understand it might get a little personal or because of the competitive nature of the hackathon, don't worry, but I would like y'all to reflect on this. And I will drop this in the chat. Okay, all right. Does anyone need more time? Okay, does anyone want to share? Okay, I'm seeing some in the chat. I'm going to read a couple out or some highlights. So some people are talking about how they want to take away some marketing skills or just get good experience in general, or even thinking about problems in the current society and seeing how they can help fix them, which I love that. Getting more familiar with product development and working in a team setting. These are all great skills to learn. Learn about programming, getting some hands-on experience. Yes, I understand that. To grow and develop your skills. Awesome. All right, cool. Thank you, everyone who shared. That was awesome. And so really, so really, regardless of what you end up creating or don't end up creating by the end of this hackathon, every step you take matters and makes a difference. So whether you continue with the idea that you come out of this week with, or let it go and start something else, that's a stepping stone for your future success, especially if you're geared at helping people. And honestly, the real product at the end of the day is not what you have to offer to the market. It's what you learn, it's what you take away, and it's how you grow from it as a result of being an entrepreneur. So now that we've looked at my personal favorite parts of entrepreneurship, which are the people, the process, and the product, I hope that you cherish these things just as much as I do, but also find things in your entrepreneurship journey that allow you to cherish it to the fullest extent and be mindful in creating a happy and healthy entrepreneurship lifestyle for you. The rewards of entrepreneurship are sometimes hard to see, but they're not hard to feel. So at the end of this hackathon, I encourage you to redo some of the mini reflection activities and see how much you've grown in just a short span of a week. Your results might surprise you. And so there's entrepreneurs and there's mindful entrepreneurs, and it's up to you which one you want to be. But you live, laugh, and love so much more as a mindful entrepreneur. So please enjoy those 3 P's of entrepreneurship. Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope this was helpful, and I'm open to questions.
Okay, yeah, guys. So I guess you guys don't have to send your questions to Pranav, really. You guys can just ask Preethi out loud if you like, or you can just, I guess, send it through the chat as well.
So anyone who has questions can ask them now.
They don't have to be related to my talk. Also, you can just ask me questions about what I do as an entrepreneur, because I was very vague about that. So anything y'all want to know, please.
Yeah, Preethi, I guess I would like to learn more about your actual entrepreneurial career, like what you've done as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, for sure. So as an entrepreneur, when I'm currently a rising sophomore in college, but as a sophomore in high school, I started a company called Booties, which never went anywhere, which is okay, because at least for me, I've always known that like 90% of your first ventures fail. And so I was really excited when my first one failed, because that means I was one step closer to being a real entrepreneur. And then after that, I went to a program at MIT where I worked on another company, which also I worked on that for about a year, but I dropped that. But now I've moved more into teaching entrepreneurship. So I teach for various nonprofits about like just anything from just like the basics of entrepreneurship, really. And so now I am an education speaker. So I'm currently like working on how to like better the world of entrepreneurship education, specifically for youth or like teenagers just like y'all. And now I work for a startup called CapSource. We're bootstrapping, but we are an education startup, which kind of like connects students through their school to like companies, so they can like learn something in their school and then apply it, because like business students don't really have that opportunity. So that's where I'm at now with my entrepreneurial journey. Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the question, what inspired me to want to become an entrepreneur? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. So for me, both of my parents are entrepreneurs, so that just seemed like a way of life to me. But apart from that, is I've always really wanted to help people. If you asked me when I was a kid what I wanted to be, like I didn't want to be a vet or a doctor or an astronaut. I just said I was a helper. And that's not really a job description. You know, I can't go Google like on LinkedIn or something like helper. And so what inspired me is that I get to design my career through entrepreneurship to help people to the ability and to the extent that I want to help them, and in the fields that I want to help them. And so that's really what drew me into entrepreneurship, because as someone that like can't stand blood, I couldn't be a doctor. So I wanted to help people, and entrepreneurship is actually a great way to like to leverage to help people. So yeah, thank you. Okay, let's see another question. What is your take on whether people should go to college or just start their business? So this is a really great question. I think there's a couple of takes. There's a couple of schools of thought here. I think that like a college degree is very important for some people, and for other people it's not. And so it kind of depends on where you want to go with your career. for me personally, I am in college, but I don't stop that from letting me start my venture. And I understand that the trade-off is often hard because like if you're in college, you're worried about like your grades and your school and like stuff like that. But these kind of young years of your life are kind of like the lowest stake years ever. Because once you have a family and a full-fledged career, it's going to be harder for you to start a company. And so really, it's up to you right now to what you do. I do say that like for certain careers, if you want to go into them into the future, that you're going to need a college degree for some of them. So it might be like worth it to pursue a college degree. But for when it comes to starting your business, like there are always opportunities to take time off from school or start school later so that you can do a mix of both, but I wouldn't suggest like one necessarily over the other. And sometimes if you're just trying to start your business, timing is really important. So if it's worth it for you in that time to not do school and start your business, I recommend that. So it depends, but I think there's like pros and cons to each. Yeah. What skills do you think are the most important to being a successful entrepreneur? This is a great question. Thank you for asking. So I think for me personally it's really just being emotionally intelligent, which is why I talk about being a mindful entrepreneur, because burnout is really easy in entrepreneur, stress, risks. Entrepreneurship is it's not like a traditional career and there's not really a safety net. So being able to manage your emotions along with like your intelligence is really important. And so that's why I mentioned people, like cherish those people because they're going to be your biggest supporters. Cherish the process because it's going to be your biggest help in your product. Like make that your baby because that's where you're putting all of your effort. So I think it's being nice to people and being nice to yourself. So I think that's one of the most important skills. Okay, what advice do you have for people who want to go into this field or start a company? I would say my personal favorite advice is, I don't know if y'all know what a lean canvas is, but it's kind of just like a little template that'll help you kind of like put your idea on paper. I carry a clipboard full of like the clipboards that open. I carry one full of lean canvases so that every time I get an idea, just any idea, I just start writing it out and I think, is this possible? And that's kind of like my idea journal. I know a lot of entrepreneurs do an idea journal, but I use lean canvases to actually like build out my ideas. So just write things down, everyday problems, anything, and you'd be surprised of like how many everyday problems don't have a solution, and you can start from there. Yeah, and then also there's plenty of resources from entrepreneurs, so please look. People always want to help, especially student entrepreneurs, so look into them. What was my biggest struggle as an entrepreneur and how did I overcome it? This is a great question. I think my biggest struggle as an entrepreneur is, especially being young, is I didn't know where to start. And not only did I not know where to start, I didn't know who to go to. It's kind of hard to have that community. You know, adults have like co-working spaces and like startup meetups and stuff like that. There's not some of that stuff like geared towards youth. And so that's kind of where I felt stuck the most, because I was like, there are these resources, but they're not necessarily geared to me. Like, am I allowed here? But I would say break the boundary, go to those. Adults love helping students. Like they just love it. So even if it doesn't feel like, pardon me, you're necessarily invited or something, put yourself out there. And when you put yourself out there, rewards just come in. People see how much hard work you put in, and they want to help you be better. So I would definitely say, like, regardless of what your peers say or what other adults say, just put yourself out there, because regardless of like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to need to put yourself out there anyway. So like, that's the first step, like breaking the boundaries and putting yourself out there. Yeah. Okay, next question. What are some more specific problems you think people might face while starting a company based on your experience? I think that finding like a problem you want to work on and finding an appropriate solution is often where people get stuck, because I know a lot of people want to solve like a very specific, like, or a very large problem, which I admire that. I really do, because I feel that. But it's important to actually find out the whys behind that problem so you can get to a specific niche problem that you can actually solve. So yeah, like, you know, say X person wants to solve like a large world issue, to look at that issue and go down and be like, hey, why does this issue exists? Why does that issue exist? Like looking at all of the whys through every lens, like social, cultural, economic, any lens you can think of, looking at it so you can find a niche problem, and then see how you can fix a small problem. Because you can't fix everything, but baby steps are most important. So I think that's my biggest struggle, because I want to fix everything. So when I look at this problem, I want to tackle this, but it's a lot more, it's like biting off a lot more than you can chew. So really like starting slow and then eventually growing to fix the entire problem is very important, I think, as an entrepreneur. So that's how I overcome things. Like just ask why. And then once I get to like 5 whys, I've come to this like a super niche problem, and then I start there. So yeah. Is there any specific entrepreneurs I really look up to? Yes, there are. And these aren't entrepreneurs that are like super famous. So one entrepreneur I look up to is this guy named Cameron Hauser. And he was the former CEO of like one of the startups I teach entrepreneurship through. And the reason I really look up to him is because he's the one who taught me that like you start with the people. Like entrepreneurship is all people-centered everything. It's people-centered design, people-centered interaction, people-centered everything. And I think that's really valuable, because once you get to the large level of like entrepreneurs that are making millions, you kind of lose some of the personal feel. And so having someone that starts every case with like a person-oriented view, I think is very important, because you get a lot more when you treat people face on and understand their problems and understand everything about people, because either it's like you need to understand what your customer's life's like, you need to understand your user's life. If your user's different than your customer, you need to understand your life and how that fits. So yeah, so like people-oriented entrepreneurship really is what I learned from Cam. And so that's a specific entrepreneur I really look up to. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just had one. Wait, Pranav, you want to go?
Yeah. So I just have one quick question. So you were talking earlier about how sometimes going to college and getting a college degree is sometimes like useful. So in your experience with your major, how has that helped you with reaching your entrepreneurship goals?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So where I like for my major, because I have the corporate innovation part of it, that's I think is really helpful for me, just because as entrepreneurs, it might be hard to start a company if you don't have an idea, which I understand that completely, but being able to leverage those skills in another environment as an entrepreneur, like in a corporate environment, is really important. But I think as far as me being an entrepreneur, kind of learning the different ideologies behind entrepreneurship is really important. I think that there's not one specific way for entrepreneurship to be taught. And so having access to professors that teach entrepreneurship from different lenses is really important, because how X professor teaches it is different than Y professor. And all of my professors have been entrepreneurs that had some entrepreneurial experience. So it's cool to see how they bring their personal experience and their lenses to teach you something that like really can't be taught. So I think that's really helpful to gain all those multiple perspectives and learn from them what they did with their failures and how they work through it. Because again, no two people's entrepreneurial journey is the same. So to hear from all of that insight is really helpful, especially when it's all like condensed into one place. So yeah, that's how it's been helpful. Okay, I see another question in the chat. So as teenagers, we can't straight up start a brand new company / business. What steps do you think teenagers can take when they know they want to become an entrepreneur and make their own company? What actions can we take in order to take steps on the right path? Part of the reason I love entrepreneurship is having independence and not worrying about people. I understand this completely. Okay, so let's break this down. So let's start off with, yes, you can just start a brand new company and business. And I know that's hard and intimidating. But I would say first steps are walking through your idea. Just write it down, think about it. I think like start from like an ideation phase where it's like, you know, throwing random things, whether it's everyday problems or big problems or anything, and start writing it down in the journal. And then I think the next step is to just let it sit. Just let it sit. Don't think about it. Like, just like mow your lawn, go for a swim, do something random. And like most of the times when you just like let the idea or problem marinate, you will probably find a solution or do some research depending on how in-depth your problem is. But from there, once you know what your solution is, I would say just start prototyping. And I know that's intimidating, but if you know what your problem is and what's going to fix it, there's many different ways you can test that. So just kind of like the scientific process that we all learned when we were like in middle school. If you have an idea, just test it. So just test your solution in the most basic form. So let's get an example. If you want to solve, okay, this is an idea. So a problem that I face, I can't braid my own hair because my hands are too short. So a solution, just to try, is to make a little thing that I can stick in my hair that'll braid my hair for me. And the way you just test that is, does X item that braids my hair for me solve my problem of not being able to braid my hair? Yes. Is it efficient? Yes. So it's just testing the most small parts of the problem. And so your problem could be like relatively big and have like 3 different facets. So find a solution that fits each of the different facets. And it's okay if you have a multifaceted solution too. And then where you go from there is, once you have like a prototype that you've tested and iterated on, like improve your prototype, have real people test them, because you're not always your end user. So have the people that are facing this problem test this. And then from there, you can either, like in a lot of communities, there are incubators or accelerators and stuff like that, where you can find a co-founder and actually just start building things. It's hard to give exact steps on what to do because definitely varies by the field you want to work in, but there's people that can help you, but most importantly, help yourself by just trying, by giving it a shot. It seems hard, just looking at it, like how do I start a company from the ground up? But baby steps, you can break everything down, and just start from the problem, find your solution, find the people that have this problem and ask them to pay for it, is the most simple way I can give a solution or an answer to that. But feel free to connect with me, and I can, if that's allowed, feel free to connect with me later, if that's allowed, and then we can talk more if you want more advice. But yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, of course.
Okay, I guess I'll ask a question.
Go for it.
So, a lot of people attending this webinar today are high schoolers, and some are even about to go to college. So, in your experience, how is a business school different from other colleges? Besides the majors, obviously, is there like a different type of culture present? Like in your experience, what's the difference between business schools against other colleges?
Business schools against other colleges. So I would say what I really like about business school is community. I think community propels us forward. And so having a community of like-minded individuals really helps you in ways that you can't even imagine. So having business students that either think the same way you do or understand your career is really helpful. But then also having people within your field that can help you understand things that you don't. So for me, I am not a finance person, I'm not an accounting person, I can't do math to save my life. But it's really helpful to have people that not just understand math in the business school, but understand the specific math that I need. And so that's how you kind of build a kick-ass team, you have everyone that understands it and you come full circle. And so that's what I think is really important about a business school, because you can get students anywhere, you can get education anywhere. And the quality of education really doesn't vary between schools, I think. And so it's finding people that think like you do, have the same drive that you do, and then are right there, when they're next to you. It's so much helpful to bounce ideas off of them and get their input and feedback and work together and collaborate and share all those ideas. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's a question in the chat.
Yes. Okay. In terms of products, do you need to be able to create it, or can you have an idea and receive help? Yeah. So the question was, I'm sorry, I didn't read that out loud. In terms of products, do you need to be able to actually create it, or can you have an idea and receive help? You can most certainly have an idea and receive help. One of the schools of thought that I'm really big on, which might sound crazy at first, but hear me out, is if you don't know how to do something, hire someone smarter than you, period, hands down. Because if you're the brains behind the operation and you just need someone to build it, that's perfect, because they make your life so much easier. So it's okay if you have an idea and you need help building it. I don't have technical expertise. I'm fully like a marketing and business development student, and anything that requires hardware, software, I hire people or like bring on co-founders to do that. And so, yeah, and I also think it's really good to receive help, because you see how somebody from like that background that has that area of expertise understands your product, and see if it's viable, or see based on like the knowledge, like what's already in their field. So that really helps, just to have another person who understands what your product would look like come and give you help on it, even if you don't know how to build it. Now, what I will say with that is you can't just like, if you don't know software, hire a software person, expect them to do everything. I will say, go learn the bare minimum so you're able to communicate with them in their language. And so that means like learn the basic jargon, so when they're talking to you and you're talking to them, you know like everyone's on the same page. So yes, put a little bit of work in, but most definitely bring people on, because again, with entrepreneurship, timing is a really big deal. So you don't want to lose your time just because you're learning everything. But do learn a little bit, because otherwise like communication will be bad. But yeah, awesome. So the next question I have here is, what platform do you recommend singing? Is that singing? Singing help on making products? Oh, getting help, sorry. Getting help on making products for my product I need a manufacturer, so where can I find them? Okay, so I this is a thing I see commonly, is people really want to like hop on and get a manufacturer. But before that, I would just like try to make something at home. Like use the tin foil in your kitchen, use cardboard rolls, use colored paper, use glue sticks, popsicle sticks, and just make a basic prototype and test the shit out of it. Like make sure 100% there's people that have your problem and are willing to pay for your problem. And those are two very important things, because there are some people that have problems, but they're not willing to pay for them. So once you design an offering that solves someone's problem so well that it like they're willing to pay for it, that's kind of the stage that you're going to want to look for a manufacturer. But if you can make stuff yourself, that's a great start for an entrepreneur. I'm not exactly sure where you can find a manufacturer, because I haven't developed anything that requires manufacturing as of yet. I work like on service startups, but test something, and there are either people in your local area that can manufacture something that you want if it's not super technical. But if you're looking for something more specific, I have no idea where to begin. But definitely like just try with what you have to test things, and then pitch competitions are also a great way. Like I know for me, when I was way back when working on an app, I had no technical skills, but some pitch competitions will be like, if you pitch and you win, we will help you build X. So whatever your product is, really put it out there. And so that's how I got apps built, because I have no technical experience and I just ask people to build them through my pitch competitions. So that's what I would recommend, kind of looking in your area, what resources are there, and surely someone in like the startup ecosystem in your area will know a manufacturer or help you build it. So yeah, awesome. My next question. You've interned and been a student at LaunchX. Would you say it's a good experience, or would you say it's an experience that is good for someone trying to get into entrepreneurship? So, okay. So, yes. But I'm not like, I think it's a good experience because it gets you exposure. Is that experience limited to LaunchX? I don't think so. I think that any experience that you can get with entrepreneurship is good experience. So for me, LaunchX was one of those experiences where I got to work with like-minded individuals that I didn't get in my community, where I got to build the idea without judgment from my peers, where I got the resources, the mentors, and everything. So yeah, it was a great place where you have everything all in once to be a successful entrepreneur. But there's several other programs like that. So even in the local level, and the only reason I say like this little caveat is because like I know like LaunchX has like the admissions process and it can be rather expensive. So don't let that shy you away from like getting entrepreneurship experiences. There's many like affordable, low cost, or anything that can fit your budget or lifestyle that are nearby that can offer just as much experience and growth. But yeah, I think it's a good experience. And for me, what I would say is anything that you do take part of, I think it's really important to give back. So I know you said I was a student and an intern. So yeah, so I was a student and I liked my experience, and then I came back and I interned, and that's how I offer back to the community that gave something to me. So whether you go LaunchX or somewhere else, if you're getting education, find a way to give back to that community, because education is like the only thing you need in your backpack to be successful. So, okay. Any other questions? Do I know any other programs for entrepreneurship? Yeah, so it kind of depends. There's various programs that like focus on different aspects of entrepreneurship. A couple that I can think off the top of my head is, I think there's a Penn program called LBW. I'm not sure, but there's one at UPenn. There's the LaunchX programs. There is Quarter Zero. There is Venture for America, which VFA is, you work at a startup, but I think you need to be an undergrad or a little like older to work at that program. Let's see, Quarter Zero. Programs for I know that like the ones I work for, 3-Day Startup, that one is a program for entrepreneurship. Those are the ones that I can think off the top of my head. Those are kind of some big name ones and like some ones that I'm very familiar with. But each of these programs focuses on like different aspects of entrepreneurship. No two entrepreneurship programs are necessarily the same. They have like different timelines, durations, expectations, etc. So definitely do research there to see what like fits you. Yeah, because no two entrepreneurs are the same. Some will focus on purely software things, some will focus on technical things, some just focus on everything, which I guess is not a focus. But yeah, there are, yes, many different programs. Find the one that fits for you. But yeah. Also, you don't need a program to be successful. There are resources out there. There's a lot of free online classes as well. So don't feel like a program is what's hindering you from being an entrepreneur. I know it might feel like that because it's just so nice and they package everything all in like one place for you. But the same things you get in a program you can find elsewhere. You just have to try just a little bit harder, but it's worth it. Okay. What stocks do I recommend investing in? So I'm gonna be completely honest. I know nothing about stocks, especially with the way the economy is right now. I'm really not sure. But to put an entrepreneurial spin in it, invest in yourself and your company. So I hope that helps. Any other questions?
Okay, so I guess, does anyone else have any more questions? Like maybe we can do one more and then we'll probably wrap this up.
Okay. So if no one has any more questions, then if you want to give your contact info, maybe like an email or something, if you're fine with that.
Yeah, I can.
They want to ask any questions later on.
Yeah. Do you just want me to drop that in the chat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That. Awesome. I could do that. Yeah. So this is that is my email. Feel free to email me with any questions or anything. And then just like if you are going to email me, put BitHacks in your subject line or somewhere so I know where it came from. Y'all know my name, so feel free to stalk me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. But I'm here as a resource. So yeah, thank y'all.
Thank you, Preethi, for speaking. I think everyone was able to learn a lot more about entrepreneurship as well as your journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I think that was super helpful for everyone. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And thank you everyone for attending and participating. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, so just a couple of things if people are going to stay. So we have 2 more webinars today. One is related to, I believe,
It's
hackathon,
like the basics of a hackathon.
Yeah, like project presentation.
Yeah, if
like
it's
forming
your
a team, working, that type of stuff.
If it's your first hackathon, I would recommend going to that. You'll be talking about what to do in the hackathon. If you don't have much experience, it would be pretty helpful.
Yep. So the signups are still open, so please feel free. And there's one at 6 p.m. by Aroshi Ghosh. She will go over how you can use artificial intelligence in different careers. So that is the first AI-related workshop, or I guess guest speaker, webinar type thing. So if you guys are interested, please sign up and show up. All right, I think that's it.
Yep. So thank you, Preethi, and thank you all the participants who joined.
Awesome, thank you. I will see y'all.